Spider Impact has an API that allows you to securely take data out of Spider Impact and use it in outside applications. The best way to understand this is to see it in action, so let's do a live demonstration. Here we are in the admin section. This is the API token screen, and it lists all of the API tokens that we've created for sharing data outside the software. These were all created by the Spider Impact administrator. The user who creates the token has their permissions assigned to the token. And this is exactly how it works for, say, shared dashboards and strategy maps, shared forums, whatever, right? This particular form was created by the Spider Impact administrator. It uses that user's permissions. If you want a specific user to be tied to a specific API token, no problem. Just create that user in Spider Impact, log in as them, and create the token while you're logged in as that user. And that way you can have a one user to one API token set of permissions if that's what you want. Okay, so let's go back to API tokens and we'll create a new one. And we'll call, you want to usually give it the name of the system that's going to be connecting to Spider Impact. We're just going to be calling this demo system. When you create the token, you just copy it, and that is your magic key to get access to Spider Impact. So I'm going to copy that thing, and that is it. That is all I'm going to do in Spider Impact for this demo. Everything else is outside of the software. If you see here, it says there's a link to an interactive API documentation, and you click on that, and it takes you to Spider Impact's documentation for how to do API calls. Now, yes, it does give you instructions on how to do things, but it also provides real live interactive data, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this documentation page is part of Spider Impact. So here's the installation of Spider Impact we were looking at. It's 560.qa or whatever. It's the exact same server with just a different URL on the end for documentation. And I'll show you why that's important in just a second, but the main idea is it allows you to live communicate with Spider Impact through your documentation. It's interactive documentation. So how do you do the REST API? You get an API token, done. Then you test your API request. That is what we'll be doing. And then finally send the real API request, and the test will teach you how to do that. And so let's dig in. There are 4 API endpoints. Who am I? I just send that token to the /whoami endpoint, and it gives you information about the current user, the user whose token it is. Second, I can send the API token to /organizations, and it's going to provide you in JSON format a big list of all your organizations. Then you can hit this API endpoint to get a scorecard. It requires an organization ID. Give me a scorecard for organization 123. And finally, for scorecard item 5, give me details about that scorecard item. So those are the 4 endpoints. And you can click on, say, organizations, and you can see an example. This is the JSON format, Acme Incorporated Operations Sales. That's what an organization looks like. But if you click authorize up here and you paste in your API token, now the software, the documentation is in a live mode, and you can click try it out. And so now we can optionally send in a project ID, but we're just going to hit execute, and it's going to show us a list of actual real JSON data from that API endpoint. Spider Impact, your trial environment, Mobile World Incorporated, key measures, right? That's the actual real live data from our system. So if I go over here to scorecards, Spider Impact, your trial environment, Mobile World Incorporated, key measures, right? It's our actual real live data. And up here, here's a request URL, and this is for the developers, right? There's a curl statement that you can use in your Unix or Linux command prompt. Let's copy that and paste it in, and we're hitting this endpoint. That's the same URL at this API URL. We're saying adding an HTTP header. Yes, we accept application JSON, and here's the token, authorization bearer, and my big token. So I'm going to run that, and it kicks out that exact same JSON that was doing inside the documentation. So using curl, using the interactive live documentation, you can go back and forth and figure out exactly the data you want for Spider Impact. Okay, so let's say Mobile World Incorporated example, that's the organization with an ID of 115. Let's hit one more endpoint. Let's go to the scorecard endpoint. We're going to try it out with an organization ID of 115. And Scorecards have performance data associated with them. And in this particular example, we're going to be grabbing 3 months worth of performance data. You can have any start date and end date. You can provide detailed information. There's a lot to this API, but the defaults work really well. We'll hit execute, and it's going to kick out a whole bunch of performance data. This is 3 months of scorecard data for that scorecard. Let's see if we can find a KPI in there somewhere. See, you can see this is the objective, improve contract management. Here we go. We've got something. So this is an array of period IDs, but if you notice, this is a currency. Its actual value is this. Its score is 0.6. It's got a period ID information. All of this data, all of this performance data is going to be super helpful for your software developers to be able to pull performance data out of Spider Impact and use it securely in external systems.